remember early in my career, I was meeting with one of my first mentors. He was a great guy at Vanguard, and we were—I forget exactly what we were talking about, but he kind of stopped in the middle of the conversation, and he said, "Emmanuel, what is driving you? Like, what is the thing that you're trying to achieve in your career and in life?" And I gave a very junior answer. Um, at the time, I wanted to be the chief information officer for Vanguard, and I said that, and it was I felt like a really strong answer, and he said, "Okay, do you know what you need to do in order to get there?" And that kind of floored me because I didn't. I assumed that oh well, I just work well in my current role, and then um, I'll eventually get there. And and then he began the process of deconstructing my world. He spent some time mapping out this framework that he had used with, I'm sure, a lot of his mentees of identifying, what are the things that make you tick? What are the challenges, the strengths that you have? And then, then I had to crystallize that career statement, that life statement into something that was more concrete and actionable. And then after I had done that process, you know, we spent some time talking about what are the roles or things that you need to learn to move you closer towards that thing. That conversation stuck with me, um, and I've used that framework with a lot of people that I've mentored over the years because I felt it was a really powerful litmus test of how serious are you about whatever it is you're trying to do. And it also served as a way of being honest with yourself on, do the strengths and things that you have align with whatever it is you're trying to accomplish? Or are you setting an unrealistic goal? Um, and, that laid the groundwork for what would eventually become the vision system in Telori. When I think about, setting some overarching thing that you're trying to accomplish, one, you have to be pretty clear about what that really is, and then you need to know how you get there. And I think most people struggle with that. Most people struggle with, what are the steps to get me to retiring early or being my healthiest self, right? Because all of us aren't experts in everything. And I think, there's a lot of tools and things that we're able to turn to nowadays that can help us bridge the gap. And Telur is one of those tools. But when I think about, um, you know, ultimately why we're doing this, you know, at the end of the day, yeah, I think back to that young me who had no idea what he was doing, who felt that he could rule the world and he had no idea how big the world was. And while I think there's some power in the naivete of youth, I think it's also important to know um, how do you actually tackle the things that are going to get you closer to that fulfillment. Um, and I think for me, helping other people move towards that sense of fulfillment, move towards the thing they're trying to achieve in life, with all the distraction in life, with all the things that are pulling them off track, I think that's where we can do as much good in this world as possible. Because I think at the end of the day, especially with everything going on with AI and the talk about job disruption and things like that, I think it's important to have something that's on your side where, you know, if you are disrupted, if something happens to you where you have to reconsider life, you can do so with something that knows you and that's helping you move towards that thing, that new thing, that's going to bring you a sense of fulfillment. And I think today a lot of that for people is their job. A lot of that is, you know, the current role that they're doing now and maybe that next promotion. But I think in a world where maybe that job doesn't exist anymore, what is it then, right? Where do you get that sense of fulfillment from? And I know that's an extreme case example of, you know, is it realistic to assume that everyone's going to have a place? I don't think that is a realistic question, because everyone needs to have a place, right? And if you don't have a way to figure out what to do with your life as the world is changing around you, then the world has let you down. And I think we need products out there that are actually going to help people solve that problem. And that's what we're building. We're building a tool that can help people figure out life, not just when life changes, but when life punches them in the face and they don't know what to do next. And I think at the end of the day, that for me is more valuable than just helping people one-on-one. It's helping people at a scale that can help the most people possible. And that's what I've dedicated the rest of my life to right now, and that's something that I think is important. And you know, and I'm hopeful that, you know, you'll join us on this journey.